as we grow and as we distribute more and more of the token to the content creators, they will be the people that own the platform.
Hi everybody, this is Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profit. I have with me one of the co-founders of a brand new censorship resistant platform for vloggers and more. Now, given how much censorship there is happening and shadow banning by content creators on the mainstream platforms, using decentralized blockchain alternatives that are censorship resistant becomes more and more important. And this one also allows people to earn cryptocurrencies as a function of watching. Now, before I introduce him, I want to let you know this is not investment advice. Do your own due diligence and do not invest any more than you can afford to lose. Please comment, like, upvote, whatever it is, whether you're watching me on BitTubers or on this new platform, because I'm going to be launching myself on this new platform with this interview. Please do all of that and share and spread the word. Follow me on Twitter at cryptorichyt, at cryptorichyt. All of that makes a difference. And before I introduce my guest, a quick word from our sponsor.
Travelling to a game here at Anfield, or maybe following the Reds away from home. There's a good chance you'll be connecting to public Wi-Fi somewhere along the way. But did you know that the free Wi-Fi is the hacker's favourite pitch? So instead of chasing the ball, they're ready to steal your sensitive information.
Hey, good evening, Matt. How are you doing?
Hello, Crypto Rich. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you so much for making yourself available. And we're going to be talking about, in fact, I'm just going to share my screen so people know we are going to be talking about 3SPEAK.online. Do you just want to tell us very quickly, in a nutshell, what is 3SPEAK.online, and then we'll get into it in more depth?
Yeah, 3SPEAK.online is a platform that utilizes the STEEM blockchain to incentivize creators and users to comment and upload content. And it incentivizes and rewards them in the STEEM cryptocurrency. In the near future, we'll have our own cryptocurrency called the Speak token that will also be rewarding people for using the platform.
Very good, very good. Okay, now I'll have the link to this in the description below. And we'll come back to it and talk about it. So I'm going to stop sharing. So tell me, what is it? What's your background? How are you connected with 3SPEAK.online? How did you get there?
I got there through the crazy crypto world, as we've all been going on this journey over the last few years. I'm from the oil and gas engineering background, actually. I worked in that for about 12 years and then discovered Bitcoin, and there's history from there, I'm sure, like many of your viewers watching. I discovered Bitcoin about 2013, and I opened my first startup in crypto in 2015, 16, I can't remember exactly the year. With 3SPEAK, I met a couple of my partners on the STEAM blockchain, and we've since developed 3SPEAK. We started in April last year. We released the platform in the very first alpha in May, in 2019.
All right, May 29.
Yeah, and just kind of to rush it out to try and cater for the people who are being deplatformed from the mainstream platforms like YouTube, and try and give them a home. And I know there's many other platforms doing the same thing now as well. I want to advocate us all working together, talking, maybe even setting up some sort of agreement that we all work together in certain ways to help each other improve quicker and share IP, share ideas, and just make the whole network more secure, so that if any of us do get attacked by the mainstream system, because we are catering for controversial content creators that aren't really allowed to post on the mainstream platforms like YouTube. So we should be trying to work together in some way and kind of come up with solutions that are almost anti-fragile, let's say, so the more that one's attacked, more of them pop up here at left, right and centre. And that's really the goal of 3SPEAK in the long run, is to try to provide an alternative service that isn't going to deplatform people, isn't going to is going to try and put the content creator first, as it were, and give them governance rights via the tokens that we're using, which YouTube will never really be able to do. So hopefully the end result will be a platform where the content creators have the governance, the control, or a good part of it over where it goes. It caters for them, it monetizes them. There's less stringent rules, and we're hoping to go towards advertisers who are happy to advertise on more controversial content, even though most of the content's not controversial at all. It's just that we want to make sure that alternative's there, and so that we don't face this risk. I mean, you yourself are facing the risk at the moment where YouTube are just kind of giving you warnings and community strikes for no apparent reason, with no warning at all, and you don't really understand why fully. And of course, it's your livelihood. So people such as yourself should be able to have alternate options, so you can also, you know, support yourself in a more secure way without having to rely on YouTube's changing of its mind every 5 minutes as such.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, now I'm going to stop. Is there something? Let me just pause the recording. I'm going to pause the recording now. 1, 2, 3. All right, Matt, there's a lot in what you said that I want to pick apart. First, because you and I have spoken a couple of times before we recorded, and I haven't, you know, really been public about this. So I got it. There was the Christmas purge by YouTube of many crypto YouTubers and perhaps others as well. They just, you know, Chris Dunn had his channel deleted. You know, very large YouTubers got channel strikes for dangerous and harmful content. I got a channel strike I think on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And then I got a second strike on the 4th of January. And the second strike means I can't post for 2 weeks. Plus, once I can post again, if I get a third strike for some arbitrary reason, they delete my channel. And it's been very upsetting for me because this is how I make a living. And I've not been able to find out, look, what is it specifically that I'm doing? Because they don't tell you. It's all really vague. And I've even been to their offices in London and they say, no, you need to go back to the community guidelines page. I go back to the community guidelines page and there's no email contact. There's no one. It's like a 21st century Kafkaesque novel.
Yeah. I mean, this is the beauty of all of these alternative platforms that are coming out. They'll all take sections of the market and they'll all be a lot smaller, I think, and more personalized, you know. As, for example, has a Discord, a Telegram group, you can message in there, you can get fairly instant responses. Not all the time, but we do try to keep on top of the traffic that's in there. And so the questions are answered and responded to on a regular basis. We really want, as we grow and as we distribute more and more of the token to the content creators, they will be the people that own the platform.
Right.
You know? And so that they will have governance rights over where the platform develops and which direction it goes in. Okay.
I mean, there's so many avenues we can go, right? Let me try and keep a thread going, right? So there's other alternative platforms. I'm on BitTubers. I'm going to be on 3SPEAK Online. There are other platforms, Library, there's FLOTE, Float, which I don't really know much about. There's BitChute, there's DTube, there's DLive, right? So there's many of these platforms, and eventually I think they're going to take market share from YouTube because of YouTube's censorship and shadow banning of alternative voices. So hopefully this one will grow. Now, I think before we go on, we should start about STEEM, STEEM blockchain. Now, I did once have some STEEM in 2017. I've lost my private key. I've got 100 STEEM sitting somewhere, which I can't get access to, right? So, and I've never covered a STEEM project on my channel before. So tell me a little bit about STEEM as a blockchain, how it's distinct from the others, what characterizes it, and why you decided to build on the STEEM blockchain.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of main reasons. One is that it's very hard to censor the content. So once the blogs are uploaded, and the blogs are stored in text format on the STEEM blockchain. So the videos themselves are not stored on a blockchain. There is no current technology where you can store videos on a blockchain. It's quite intense and data intense. So blockchains aren't built for that yet. But the blogs themselves, what happens is the video is issued as a blog on the STEEM blockchain. And the STEEM blockchain basically is a content blockchain. So it just allows people to issue blogs to the blockchain, and then that data is stored on distributed databases via the 21 witnesses who are the kind of first go-tos for the algorithm of the STEEM blockchain. So that's what's presented to the users. The other key thing about STEEM is that you can, the more STEEM power that you have, the more control over the distribution of the inflation that you have.
Okay.
So as STEEM inflates,
hold on. Before we get into STEEM power, right, I want to know a bit more about the blockchain, right? So I'm going to ask some basic rudimentary questions so I can understand it.
Yeah.
Is it proof of work? Is it proof of stake? Is there a pre-mine? Is there a limitless supply?
Yeah, so it's a proof of stake blockchain. It's actually delegated proof of stake, which is the graphene technology that Dan Larimer invented in BitShares, STEEM, and EOS. And there is a I don't know the official story, to be honest, but there is a pre-mine of sorts where certain users have large amounts of STEEM. But they were the people to first start mining STEEM right at the very start. Right. They're kind of the key players initially. There was no ICO for STEEM, so STEEM will never be classed as security. in the same way as there won't be an ICO for 3SPEAK either. What else is there? What else did you want to know?
So it's delegated proof of stake. And actually, before we do that, is it fast? What about load?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, 3-second block times. So generally, the blockchain updates your transaction within 3 seconds. Sometimes it's 5, and it's 0 fees. So you can send $1 million worth of value across the other side of the world in 3 seconds without paying any fees. It's pretty amazing.
How does it do that?
It's the graphene technology, because my understanding is, I'm not a technical expert on the blockchains, but my understanding is that Bitcoin is slow because it has this same copy across all these different nodes across the world, millions of different nodes.
Yeah.
But Steem uses the 21 witnesses as the primary nodes, or the primary kind of reference. So it only has to get those 20 consensus between those 21 people before it can update the data. So it's a lot more nimble and a lot more it can be run a lot cheaper because it doesn't need as many nodes to run, and it's decentralized enough such that it would still be expensive to pay off all of the witnesses, because the witnesses that run the blockchain, who are essentially the same as miners in Bitcoin, there's 21 of these witnesses, and they get paid a reasonable salary every year in new inflation from the token for running the software on their servers, which is essentially the same as mining. And they achieve the consensus between each other in the same way. They have, I think it's above 51%. You have to have 11 or 12 of the witnesses out of the 21. But then the witnesses are voted, so they are elected by the community based on stake. So instead of the witnesses being just the people with the most powerful machines, they are the people who are elected by the community to be the witnesses. So they're accountable to the community. If they make mistakes, I've seen many times in Steem where a witness will make a mistake or do something that's not favorable to the community, and they fairly quickly drop out of the top 21, at which point they lose their salary, as it were, and they are not the kind of key witness whose databases are referenced in the blockchain. So there's hundreds of witnesses, by the way. There's a list of there must be 500, 600, maybe even 700 witnesses, but they're all kind of waiting the queue behind the top 21. And as they get voted in, they obviously get replaced and pushed up. And you can then, over time, see which type of witnesses you like. Initially, it started off as kind of a popularity contest, but as time's gone on, it's gone more towards who's adding value to the blockchain, who's clearly demonstrating that they're kind of believing and that they support the blockchain properly, and they're doing several different projects and activities that support the progress and the operation of the blockchain. And those people are generally the people that are getting elected in to be the witnesses now.
Right. Okay. And if somebody wanted to know who the witnesses are, what's the website?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even know the website off the top of my head. I always just Google Steem witnesses, and there's a list of the witnesses that comes up.
Right. And Steem is STEEM.
Yeah.
Steem witnesses with people.
Correct.
Okay. And Steem is also like a platform protocol that you can build applications on it.
Correct. So one of the misunderstandings about Steem is that STEEMIT.com is the main website which was essentially, and still is, the social media website for much of the blockchain community. But STEEMIT.com is just an app that's built on the Steem blockchain. And now there's about 40 different fairly well-run apps, and there's probably hundreds of different apps that are built on Steem now that are slowly getting traction. And I say about 40 of them are really getting a lot of traction, a lot of use. So it's quite amazing. I don't think this has been realized by the blockchain community yet, that there is this whole diverse community of different apps and different utilities for the Steem blockchain other than just STEEMIT.com. Now, more recently, in the last 3 months, they've announced the testnet for SMTs, which are smart media tokens, which is one of the things that we're going to utilize on 3SPEAK, so that we can allow content creators to issue their own tokens fairly easily, and then reward their communities in those tokens and monetize those tokens by having advertisements or digital products that they sell, or the ability to trend your post higher within the community because you buy and burn the token. So we can create a whole economic models around these tokens and create these economies and all based around content creators. The other thing that's happened is a great team on a section of the blockchain called the Steem engine. They've released non-fungible tokens. So in the near future, we're going to work together with those guys, also in some other way, but basically using non-fungible tokens to issue memes, so that guys like you, who are fairly popular content creators with large communities, can issue memes to those communities and prove that it came from your account. So you can have a token next to the meme, and then you can then your users can bid on that meme as a collectible item, because there'll only be 1 or 2 or 5 or however many you issue. and then they'll be able to trade those as collector's items in the future. And this is really where we see the economy going, through communities, tokenizations of those content creators' communities, and then tokenizing memes and digital products, so that there's an economy built around the tokens and a demand for the tokens. And that to me is just absolutely fantastic, and it's something that I don't see YouTube or many other platforms doing. There are other platforms that can issue tokens, but the way that we're setting this up is just going to make it really, really easy for the content creator to do it, and also run their community. So you can have a community where several people maintain and administer it, not just yourself, so you don't always have to rely on it, but every time you click on it, you can see the type of content that you want to see, because you've set the rules as to how it should be administered. And then you can imagine, as these communities grow and more people use them, you'll be able to issue tokens, and then those tokens will have utility, because first of all, people want them because they want some kind of like a brownie point kind of thing. Or the content creator said this week we're going to do this competition or that, and we did it, we commented, and all of a sudden we were rewarded some of the new inflation of those tokens, because the SMTs work as the Steam token does, just that they'll be their own separate tokens. And then as time goes on, we'll work with the content creators such as yourself, hopefully, to build specific products into those tokens, so that there becomes an organic demand for the tokens, so that people can buy things, or that they can trend their content, or advertisers can gain ad spots on your communities. And that's one of the problems that the world has with the tokens, especially with altcoins. They haven't really ever created their own business models as such. They've kind of created their tokens and funded their projects.
Right.
And a lot of them have gone to zero because there's no organic reason to purchase those tokens. And so if we can build those business models into the tokens from the start, then hopefully we'll be able to get the organic purchases from your community and advertisers, as well as potentially speculative value. And as long as we don't do ICOs, as long as there's no ICOs in those tokens, then it's very clearly not a security. And you're just saying, look, this is a digital product that you purchase, and you can use it for X, Y, Z. If people want to buy the token to speculate on it personally, then that's their business, and you've never told them they'll get a return from those tokens. But as long as your community is active and useful and growing and has an economy, then in theory the token price should grow, just because of money velocity demand, and depending on how you set the inflation yourself. If you have massive inflation, or if you have the inflation capped or a limited supply of the token, then you can start to create price increase in the token yourself. But that's completely, we'll put settings on the interface so that that's completely up to you. And that's been tested now on Steam as SMTs. It's been tested by our developers. That's about to be released, we think, in Q1, and hopefully sometime in Q2 we'll have an interface out on our own platform to allow you guys to do that type of thing. So we want to work with several content creators such as yourself. So you have the crypto-rich community. People can go comment there. They can earn Steam. They can earn your SMT. And then as time goes on, we'll start adding more and more digital purchases, so that they can purchase trending spots on your community. Advertisers can purchase advertising spots, and then people can buy digital products. Maybe they can even get a signed photo of Crypto Rich. I don't know. That might be too much. That.
Why not? Would they want that? You can have perhaps a signed Bitcoin.
That's it. So there's lots of things that we can look at doing, and that to me is a whole new world, and it's completely unthought of by many platforms, especially the mainstream ones. They have got no idea that this is coming. No. And these platforms will exist on decentralized blockchains like Steem, so you won't be able to censor them, you won't be able to stop them. They'll just run, and they'll go on. And if now it's up to you. See what you can do with that.
Hold on.
I get excited, so maybe I need to call back.
Off you go, right? This is obviously a labor of love, right? Let's go back a little about the Steem blockchain, because one of the things I know about the Steem blockchain is that it's one of the most used, has the highest number of transactions of any blockchain, or something like that.
Yeah, it did for a long time. A long time before EOS came out, it had that, and also while EOS was out, it came out. It had the most transaction by far. But as time's gone on now, I don't know exactly what the reason is. I've not looked into it, but the EOS does have a lot of transactions, and I don't know whether they're setting up simple transactions to make that data happen, or whether it's genuine transactions and things like that. But I mean, all credit to EOS, they've done very, very well.
But Steem does have a lot of transactions.
But Steem has a lot. It's one of the most utilized blockchains. It's proven. It's like 4 years old nearly now.
Yeah, there's no load. Now, is there an infinite number of coins, Steem coins? Or is it finite? The way that with Bitcoin,
all proof of stake coins continuously inflate.
Right.
But it's as to the community via hard forks can control what the inflation rate is. So the community can pressure the witnesses to reduce the inflation rate if we feel it's necessary, or the witnesses can do it themselves if the community agrees with them and supports their vote, then the witnesses can choose to do it themselves. So yeah, the other thing that I want to say about Steem, if you look, it's got one of the largest capacities, and I mean like in the top 1 or 2. You know, it's a very underutilized blockchain. I think this is something that people are going to come to realize as time goes on, that a lot of the other blockchains, they reach their capacities very easy. All you need is like 1 or 2 apps to blow up, and the blockchains are at capacity. And a lot of them are several years behind releasing the technology to solve that issue. Whereas Steem did this years ago. If you go take a look, I forget the website, but it's the one that ranks all of the blockchains. I think it's a Chinese website that has ranked all the blockchains by score.
Mm-hmm.
One of the metrics that it uses is basically how many transactions and what capacity the blockchains are. And all of these other blockchains, including EOS, including Ethereum, they're all at some form of capacity. They're all running at, it might be like 20%, 10%, or 30% capacity. And if they grow much more, they will start to have scaling issues. Whereas Steem's never been touched. Its capacity is not even touched at all. And it's running one of the most active blockchains in the world. So as far as I understand, don't quote me on this, but certainly within the top level of the technology, but I believe it is the most utilized, least capacity utilized blockchain in the world.
Wow.
It really does solve a lot of the scaling issues that blockchain has, and it solved them years ago.
Okay.
So it's up to us as a community on Steem to build the apps to make them active and demonstrate that this capacity of the blockchain doesn't really get affected very much, and that's the case at the moment.
Okay. Now, talking of capacity, you said on STEEMIT, and also on 3SPEAK online, there are blogs are posted, but not videos. So if I post a video on 3SPEAK online, then that's not decentralized because it'll be on some server somewhere.
Correct. So we are doing our best we are about to release a backup server this month. So we store on our own centralized servers, so we store all the content, and it's served very, very quickly. As far as we can tell, it's basically the quickest, most responsive upload time, and the quickest, most responsive viewing platform. It's very responsive, and that's because it's done through our centralized servers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we're doing this month, we're just going out for quote now to purchase a second set of servers, put them in a second location, and store our backups to those, so that if 3SPEAK ever does get shut down, or we lose our relationship with our storage provider, then we can just go and make our own videos available to other people to use. And this is something that's really important, because many people use IPFS, many people are using torrenting systems, and those are fine. Those are fine to use. They can become expensive if you want to use them efficiently, and they're not efficient. They aren't very good. They're not scalable yet, anyway.
They have lag issues.
Yeah, but certainly if you're streaming video directly from an IPFS server or from a torrent, it's really hard unless you're willing to pay the money. Whereas what we're doing is we're keeping it centralized in terms of the storage and the output, but we pay for that through the nose. We pay for that, but it means that the system's very responsive and it's a nice user experience. So we're going for that approach. Other platforms are using the more decentralized service storage. Now, what we're looking at is another centralized server, but it's a backup server, so that if the service that we use to store our videos and deliver them to the network gets shut down for whatever reason, we can guarantee that there's backups of everyone's videos. As time goes on, we do want to implement an IPFS system of some sort, but what it will be is that the IPFS will not be the direct stream. We'll keep our centralized server and we'll stream from that to keep the experience good. But in order to disincentivize attacks or the mainstream system coming after us to shut us down, we'll say, look, we've still got this decentralized backup system. But that's not our top priority at the moment. Our opinion is that the word decentralized is like a buzzword that's used. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these apps and a lot of these blockchains will be centralized platforms that just utilize the blockchains themselves. Mm-hmm. Because, for example, if you look at it, that you can deliver governance on the blockchains in a decentralized way, mm-hmm. and you can deliver the assets that the users gain for using the platforms in a decentralized way. So as long as you can deliver the governance and the assets, does it really matter if the service is fully decentralized? As long as the service is a decent experience, then it's okay. I mean, in an ideal world, yeah, if you could get the full service decentralized, great, but that's not always practical, especially with video content.
Sure.
So the way we're looking at it is the assets that you'll earn from using the platform are the tokens, And those will be your own personal token as a content creator of the community. There'll be STEEM and the SPEAK token. And then if we can then drive the governance based on the amount of SPEAK token that you own, so the more percentage of the STEAM token that you've either earned or invested, or I shouldn't say invested, or purchased to utilize the platform, then that will give you governance rights to dictate, you know, when we have a fork type decision, we will come to the community and say, what do you guys want to do? How do you want to deal with this issue? Or how do you want to develop this going forward? Do you want to go fully decentralized? Do you want to retain the centralized system? All these types of questions will have to be answered in the future. Do you want to censor this type of content? You know, because of course you don't want too much, you don't want porn, you don't want the atomic bomb codes being uploaded, things like this, you know, and you know, so the community, at the moment, we make those decisions from as a centralized team. But as we go forward and we start distributing this token, we want you guys to be able to make those decisions, and we'll step back from the
community moderation and governance, right? Okay.
Yeah. So that'll stay decentralized, essentially.
Yeah. And then until then, because there is something about censorship-resistant platforms having some form of censorship, because you know there is, we don't want in particular child pornography, incitement to hatred, and then there are legal requirements that you have to honor. So how do you do that?
It's a centralized system from that point of view. At the moment, we as a team, we have a system where people can report the items that are an issue, but generally we find them, or they'll get brought up, especially by the STEAM community. The STEAM community is very, very hot on these things.
Right.
So if they do get brought up, and it's a clear violation of our terms of service, and our terms of service are very simple. It's no pornography, no incitement to hatred, no breaking the law, and you know, don't put any atomic codes on, and excessive gore. We've had a few videos because it's alternative content that isn't mainstream on YouTube. We have received a lot of excessive gore that's like, come on, like what? Like a lot of what I remember one in particular was a lot of burned bodies, you know, just on this video, and it's like, what? Because one of the problems that we have, and this is very interesting, it's a balance in that, because if we want to bring advertisers on, we want to be able to, but we also want to be able to have complete and utter free speech within those boundaries that I've just described. Oftentimes, an advertiser doesn't want to have their name shown next to a load of burned bodies, right? So we've got a mechanism there where the content creator themselves is responsible for denoting the video as not safe for viewing or not safe for work. That doesn't always work though. That still gets through the filter, because we don't really want to show those videos on the trending page if we can help it, especially if we're trying to bring in a revenue model via advertisers and people trending their comments and things like this. So we don't mind gore. We don't mind, you know, if there's a murder that happens or something like this. It's basically all allowed. But when it's just like ridiculous, like the point's been made, you know, you don't need to keep showing it, you know, that type of thing. On the rare occasion, we have removed videos that are just a bit too much for most people. But as a general rule, we're trying to keep it completely open and free. So if you want to swear, you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, your politics, we don't care what your politics is. We just want to maintain free speech. We believe that's a central core to the Western civilization, and we think that we should build platforms that preserve free speech as much as practically possible. We don't care if you offend. We want you to offend people, because free speech is all about offending people. We want people to make offensive jokes as well. You know, we want to offend. You know, this is what we do in the West. The English in particular have always gone out of their way to offend anyone they bloody well can. You know,
but not always through speech.
yeah. I mean, you don't have to have speech on a video content, right? You can draw pictures if you want.
That's right. Okay. Well, look, but what about things like other regulatory requirements? Like, for example, you know, a video that says, okay, buy this, and then you'll make £1 million the following day or something, Lambo tomorrow. Because then you could could you not fall foul of financial regulations that you still need to manage?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if we have to make sure that we abide by the law.
Right.
So at the moment, what we're doing is we're not being as proactive on that type of thing yet. It may be that we change that in the future, but at the moment we just need a legal notice. If someone sends us a legal notice that says this content's been requested to be pulled down off your site, and there's an actual court case that's been heard and proven, then yeah, we'll abide by it. You know, sometimes it's unfortunate because I don't always agree, but you have to work within the law, and we're not here to break the law. We're not here to you know, push the boundaries too much. But we do want to make a statement back to the establishment, as it were. Look, people like you are being deplatformed or community stricken, whatever you want to call it, without much explanation, without much knowledge, and your livelihood depends on those things. So it's like, look, we can do this too. We can build these platforms now, and it's not just 3SPEAK. There's multiple other platforms out there that you can go use. And to me, the more of those things that we use, the more difficult it is for the system to start dictating, become authoritarian, which is what YouTube's become, right? It's become a centralized authoritarian platform. And as the famous saying goes, you know, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I believe we're in the absolute form of corruption at the moment, where, you know, lots of things don't get shown. There's a lot of censorship on YouTube. There's a lot of, oh yeah, but we do show that video, but then you never find it on trending, or you never find it on the home pages or whatever. It's like, look, let's just have simple algorithms. In fact, one of the things we're not working on this yet, and it's a free idea I'll put out there, but one of the things I'd like to achieve in the medium term with 3SPEAK is I'd like to allow people to be able to customize their own algorithms. So the search that the feed page that they get is their own customized feed algorithm. You know, we might give them an option of 5 or 6 different algorithm types. At the moment, everyone gets a standardized one, right, based on their history, based on what they've liked, based on who they're subscribed to, things like this, right? And that's the same on nearly every platform. But wouldn't it be cool if we could decentralize, as Ivan on Tech says, we should decentralize the content discovery. So we should allow people to write their own trending algorithms, and then let other people utilize those trending algorithms on the various content platforms that there are. So that instead of the content platform deciding what you get to see based on what they think you should like, you should be allowed to craft your own search algorithms that present you with a feed that you know that you've crafted. So you know, it treats every video equally then, as long as it abides by the bounds of the TLS. So this is something that YouTube will never do. You know, that first of all, because it's probably too much of a big job for them to do. They're so far through their own algorithms, but it's clear now to everyone that they want to control what people are seeing.
Yeah.
And for me, I would rather trust the user to make their own decisions and craft their own search algorithms. We don't want people learning code, but we want to make it easy for them to select a few options and say, okay, these types of things will come up in my search algorithm, or the algorithm will treat the content on the platform in a certain way such that it's presented in my feed, you know, not based on what my history is, for example, or not based on my search history, or not based on who I'm subscribed to. I don't want to have those things included. Sometimes not based on me talking about wanting a new iPhone charger near to my iPhone, and then a few minutes later I see an ad on a platform for an iPhone charger. You know, these types of weird things that happen, right?
That's
you
right.
need people to be able to craft their own feed algorithms. So that's something I'd like to do in the future with 3SPEAK.
Okay, well, look, let's have a look at 3SPEAK. I'm going to start sharing, right? And then you can talk me through some of the features. So this is the home page, 3speak.online. Now, I've got these coming up. Is this because I'm using a Brave browser?
It's probably because of Brave. Brave's a great thing. There's a lot of work left to do on Brave, and so it doesn't always present the best format. So you might want to pop
I've taken the crackers off, but I've still got these broken icons.
Yeah. It'd be cool if you could pop across to Google Chrome or Firefox or something like that, because they don't have the problems there.
Right, hold on.
And certainly this is something that we need to work on a bit more, but it's often Brave. It's Brave's many platforms don't work properly on Brave. You must have seen that from time to time.
Yeah.
Through. This is the cool thing, though, that we're now starting to build this alternative decentralized or semi-decentralized world in parallel to the mainstream online world, right? And
yep.
Of course, the experiences aren't going to be quite as good because we don't all have hundreds of developers working with us. You know, we have you know, small teams, but we're doing what we can with what we have. The great thing is that the crypto economy has helped us to fund a lot of this, and so we are now able to build alternatives. The experiences won't be quite as good, but the idea is for the experience to be 95% as good, but provide you with an ownership of your assets that you've earned. You know, provide you with an ownership of your governance rights, provide you with an ownership of your content as much as we can. Whereas YouTube doesn't do any of that stuff. You know, the centralized established system will never do any of that stuff because it's a handover of influence and power to the people, and that's what. So they'll always have the really good user experience case and the slick software, which most people will want to use, no doubt. There's going to be an ever-increasing growing proportion of people who want to use alternative platforms that provide them with ownership of their assets, ownership of their content, ownership of their data. And this is where we're going, and it's to me that's really, really exciting. The communities that you'll create on 3SPEAK as you go, you will own those communities. It will say very clearly on the Steem blockchain that you created that community and it is yours. And then it will say very clearly that you created the token and it is your community's token. And then you'll see very clearly who the moderators are. And it's not like we can go in and adjust that and change that. We won't be able to, because it's going to be published to a blockchain. You'll have to get the 21 witnesses to change, or we will if we want to change the ownership of the community. So those communities will be immutable and owned by you, and they will be your asset as a content creator. And this is revolutionary. This is the whole idea of owning your digital footprints and your digital work and your digital communities. We will never be able to unsubscribe subscribers from your community, right? It will just be on the blockchain. Whereas Facebook and YouTube, you see, they unsubscribe people from you all the time for no apparent reason. You know,
so
it's decentralized.
Yeah. So let me look at this, right? So let's look at this. LCKJ. Are many crypto boring to date? Now,
well, hopefully we haven't bored too many people on this call yet.
What's this? There's 4 minute 6 second video.
Yeah.
What's this?